And what's going on, everybody? What a crazy start to the show. What is up, chat? Good to see all these Xbox gamers. Yeah, my internet went out and I just started running and trying to see if there are any connection problems or anything like that. But we are back up, and this is another episode, actually, episode 6 of the Series X podcast. I hope you guys are having a good Sunday. I know I was excited to get this show started. As always, I need to introduce my partner in crime. If you know him from YouTube, you know him as the Elusive Gamer, but everybody on Twitter and everywhere else knows him as Jamie Moran. What is up, bro?
All right, man. Hello, everybody. We've got some good Xbox stuff to talk about this week. I'm just looking forward to get into it.
Yes, sir. Dude, I heard you said you were sick throughout the week, man. How you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling a lot better now. I mean, as I posted on Twitter, I've been ill. That's why I've posted no content. Let's just say food poisoning. That I'll just leave it at that. I'll leave out the graphic details for everyone.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. We definitely, definitely don't want to get into detail on that. Again, what is going on, chat? Good to see everybody. Yo, if you haven't done it yet, we are a brand new show, and of course, if you know gamers out there, you know Xbox gamers that want to talk about Xbox, want to get excited about Xbox news, and even criticize Xbox when they need to be criticized, but all Xbox talk with no other platforms mentioned. If you and your gaming buddies want a show like that, yo, hit that thumbs up, share this show out on social media, and let them know where you are right now. We are basically, Jamie, we're still a brand new show. It's only episode 6, we gotta get the word out. You know what I'm saying, James?
Yeah, I just tweeted out, and hey, episode 6, people seem to like it so far. And again, only Xbox. Keep it on the Xbox. That's how it should be.
Echo on Gamer's mic. I am using a regular headset. I'm gonna check it out. Hold on. I'm going to OBS. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna lower me a little bit. I'm not coming up on Jamie's at all, so hopefully that helps.
Everything sounds clear on my end.
Okay. Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying, man. I'm trying. All right. Well, I'm gonna be fiddling with this, and hopefully I can get it fixed. Sorry, guys. I'm more into visuals and less into audio. Like, I know how to do visuals. As you can see, we got some cool graphics going on as the show is going on. I am more into the visual aspect. I need to learn more about the audio side of things. But Jamie, I think it's about time to get into it, man. You ready? You ready for the first topic, brother?
Oh yeah.
All right. Well, first off, shout out to Dragonheart Yobi. What is up, bro? Good to see you. He says, I would love to be your first guest on Series X podcast. Let me know. I'll clear my schedule next week. Peace, love, life. I love you, brother. And mad love to Jamie. Yo, shout out to you, bro. Definitely got mad love for you, bro. Just one thing. Yobi, one thing. If you do come on this show as a guest, there is no talking about any other platforms. You can't compare. You can't. You don't say the other names. Nothing like that. It is only Xbox. If you feel you can do that, we will definitely have you on, bro. But Jamie, I want to talk about something. There's a small game, right? Small game coming out for the Series X and Series S. It's an indie game. It's called Falconeer. Now, Jamie, have you seen the gameplay and stuff on Twitter for this game, Falconeer?
Yeah, I've been following it. It's an air combat game where it's set in like a steampunk world where you actually ride giant eagles and you shoot lasers at each other. It's pretty interesting game. I mean, it's sci-fi, it's steampunk, it's all rolled into one, and it looks cool. It's the closest thing we've had to Panzer Dragoon since, well, Crimson Dragon, and yeah, it looks good. Like, and the graphics, are, I don't like to call games simplistic because of the art style, but like it's a got a very clean look to it, and I think it'll be one of those titles people should pick up again. 4K 60, and I think it'll have a 120 frames per second mode. I think if you have the correct monitor, but yeah, I think the game looks good, and I'm looking forward to it. And again, single player combat, air combat, it looks cool. Like, and I think it's one of my most anticipated titles when it comes to like smaller games.
Wow. Oh yeah, when it comes to smaller games, definitely. And I like how you're describing it, man. And you're right. Like I didn't even, it's funny. I didn't even put in the comparison to Panzer Dragoon, but one of the things that like people have been reporting this week, I know Spawn Wave did a video on this, and I saw a piece on Twitter, and it was just a little piece that had the developers' words in terms of 8K. Right now, people are going out there saying that the developer is talking about Falconeer being 8K when it's released. Now, I read the little kind of like piece on Twitter, and from what I saw, the developer was saying that when you when you get games up to the 6K/8K resolution, that on a TV screen, because even in 4K you can still see like pixels. You can't. I hope you don't see pickles, but but pixels. And he said when you get up to 6K, 8K and you pause the game, he said it looks like a work of art. I went through what they shared on Twitter. I didn't see anything about this game being 8K. Dude, what are your thoughts on this? Do you know anything? Do you think this game could get up to 8K? What do you think about what people are saying here when it comes to Falconeer? Are they like overstretching here right now?
I mean, look, when these new consoles were announced, 8K was thrown out. And as soon as I saw 8K printed on that chip, I was like, okay, this is going to be a talking point whether we have it or not, The thing is, could it be 8K or 6K or whatever? Yeah, like the graphics like are very simplistic. And that is not an insult to the game. The game's gorgeous. And, the developer was talking about how, like, when you get up to 6K and 8K, like, and pause it, it is literally looking like, oh, it's like you could have like an 80-inch screen and literally not see a single pixel. And I have seen 8K screens at art exhibitions, so like it goes to show how good things can look on those things. They look insane. Do I think it's a possibility?
Yeah.
The problem is, like, is it viable for the developer to do that when 8K TVs are so expensive still that only a small handful of people might be able to try it, and even then it'll probably be 8K 30 frames per second. And when it comes to an air combat game, I'd go 4K 60. But you have to remember, go back to 2017 where Titanfall developers got Titanfall 2 to run at up to 6K on the One X just because of its GPU power, and that was like unoptimized.
Great
so
point.
like with this, yeah, it's possible, but I don't think people would want to play this type of game at 30 frames. And look, when this game comes out, are people really going to be playing this on their 8K TVs they have now? Not really. Like I don't have an 8K TV, and I probably won't for a while.
It would like check this out, Jamie. It would be 8K content for the people out there, the very few people who do have like expensive 8K televisions or whatnot. I got to ask you though, what would it mean for us common folk, us 4K gaming, and the only reason why I'm 4K gaming is shout out to Dragonheart Yobi right there, because he hooked me up with a 4K television. Again, love you, brother, for that. I did not know. I did not know until you showed me, Yobi. But what would this mean for us common 4K folk out here?
I mean, like, not much. Like, like the thing is with like super sampling and stuff. If they could like have it running at 8K, the super sampling on a 4K TV would be insane. You'd have the crispest 4K image possible. So yeah, we could possibly see a benefit. It would probably run at 30 frames, and you'd have the crispest 4K image possible. But at the same time, for me personally, 4K is enough. Like when Wolfenstein came out with the One X and that was running at 4K, like I knew then like 4K it was beautiful. Like, and for me, like again, I've played Red Dead Redemption in 4K. That game is ridiculously gorgeous. Could it get a few years from now and want to see more pixels on a bigger TV? Of course, but as of right now in 2020, 4K is enough.
All right, I am switching my microphone, and now Jamie can't hear me. So let me just fix that real quick. He has no idea what is going on, and you guys are hanging with me. Now he can hear me. Okay, I switched my microphone. Hopefully it's better now. Let me know in the chat. Hold on. Let me know in the chat. I switched my microphone. I switched it up. Hopefully it's better now. Let me know. I'm using the HyperX Quadcast now. I wanted to use the headset so this way I can spin around in my chair and I can sit back. I could look like Dr. Evil. So hopefully this is better. But yeah, no. And yo, Jamie, I like what you said about super sampling because like before I got hooked up with this 4K television, I had a 1X. And I got to say, like the super sampling from the 4K games on the 1X going to a 1080p TV made a difference. And people were making fun of me about that. People who were playing in 4K because they also had HDR. I didn't have HDR in my 1080p television. There was no HDR. So like I can see, I think HDR is a bigger game changer than 4K. But that super sampling, man, that really did it did the games justice, bro. So like it would be good if the developers can do this. But you're talking about 30 frames per second, though.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, at the end of the day, it's going to be about options. So it's like, could we see a bunch of options like, 8K TV support, 120 frames support? It's just, when the developer talks about 8K and 6K, it gets people's attention, because think about it, the Falconeer is a small game. Like, it's not getting a ton of marketing. Yes, Microsoft has pushed it a little bit in their social feeds, but at the end of the day, like, if you say 8K up to a new generation console launch, people are going to pay attention to that.
Yeah.
I think the game looks good regardless. 4K 60, I'm set. Air combat, again, I love that stuff. Sci-fi, I love that stuff. Giant eagles shooting lasers, I love that stuff. So the 8K thing is just a bonus on the side, which I'll never use for another probably 7 years. But right now, 4K 60, air combat, sold.
Nice. And I like what you said, because in terms of marketing, being the new console, coming out of the gate and stuff, to have a claim that one of the games that you're running is running at 8K, it's a big marketing thing right there. Probably more than anything on the gamer side, our side of things. But in terms of business, man, to say, hey, yeah, we got a game running 8K on the Series X. I mean, that you could promote that, you can market that like crazy. So, shout out to the developers on that. If they can actually get that done, because they said 6K, 8K, and like I said, I don't think that they said the game was going to release at these resolutions, but it's going to be interesting to see, getting closer to the launch. Exactly what goes on with that game. But definitely 120 frames per second at some point in time would be beautiful. I will say that the gameplay I saw running at 60, it was really smooth. The aerobatics were nice and smooth, no glitchiness, stuff like that. It looks like a really cool game. And Jamie, now that you said it, I'm constantly thinking Panzer Dragoon when thinking about Falconeer, and that's all your fault, Jamie. I just want to let you know that.
Well, that's good to know because the game looks awesome.
Nice. So let us move on to the next. Where are we going next? Let's see here. You know what? Let's hit one of the big ones. All right, let's hit one of the big ones, because this past week, Xbox Series X has been out to YouTube influencers and gaming media. And trust me, a bunch of videos came out here on YouTube talking about this system and what it does. Now, when they went in, they talked about load times. They talked about backwards compatibility and how back compat games were running unoptimized on the Series X, and of course, talking about how the system looks in the entertainment space, how the controller feels, stuff like that. So, Jamie, I know you must have been all over these videos this past week. Am I right, man?
Oh yeah,
Nice.
I've lost sleep to this, man.
Nice. So I gotta ask you, with watching so many videos, and I've done the same thing. What is your conclusion so far from what they showed so far? Because for people who are out there that don't know, only certain embargoes lifted. If you watch any of these videos, they talk about, well, I can't say stuff about this, I can't say stuff about that yet. Like the embargoes lifted strictly for the stuff that we're talking about right now. So, Jamie, give us your general thoughts. What is the consensus out there when it comes to the Series X?
I think that this box has put all the worry to rest when it comes to backwards compatibility and how powerful it is. Like, out of the gate, let's talk about the backwards compatibility because that's what they're focusing on right now. This thing with unoptimized games is able to get GTA 4, which even on PC is a bit of a resource hog in 2020, goes up to 60 frames per second, almost locked, without any optimization whatsoever by the BC team. Let's look at another game that has an extremely long load time, and that being Final Fantasy 15. On the Xbox One X, it takes 1 minute 11 seconds to load. And trust me, if you've played that, I put the kettle on, I wait for it to boil, I make a cup of tea, I come back, and it's still loading. But on the Xbox Series X, 13 seconds. Like, I can't even tweet in that time. What the hell? Like, Control takes 58 seconds to load on the One X. On the Series X, it takes 10 seconds. Red Dead Redemption takes 2 minutes, 8 seconds to load on One X, and on the Series X, 38 seconds.
That's incredible right there. Keep going, man.
Outer Worlds, 43 seconds on the One X, 11 seconds on the Series X. So, that's unoptimized games that weren't made for SSDs. So, games can only load in quicker. And, I've seen people load in Destiny in like 10 seconds. It's ridiculous.
Oh, dude, that made me so jealous. Dude, I'm a Destiny 2 player. Like, I absolutely love the grind. I love the PvP, the PvE. That game has me. And dude, I watched the video where they booted up Destiny 2. I saw it from the boot up. I saw it like going on, into a planet, stuff like that. Dude, that made me jealous right there.
Yeah, and the thing is, I've seen this number being thrown around a lot, 500 games being available, and that's not true. It's just there's only a certain amount of games going out to the people testing the console at hundreds at a time. Like today, I think it was today or yesterday, more people got like access to 200 to 300 more games. So like we're going to see more impressions for the next coming weeks, and it's only going to get better. I'm just interested to see how it takes control of things like. There's some games where the loading is baked into the gameplay. So, for instance, Mass Effect. Obviously, I'm going to bring that up.
Of course.
If you're on the Normandy, if you want to get to the shuttle bay, you have to take a lift or an elevator, what you want to call it, and it takes about 23 seconds just to go about 10 feet in that game, because the engine it could not load in like another area that big. And I'm just wondering how it's going to work with games like that. It might not help much, but hey, I mean, that's the game's fault, not the consoles. But like the fact that this is brute force and things like Final Fantasy to less than 20 seconds, that's just impressive. Because as someone that plays lots of open world RPGs, loading's a problem. And, I joke about putting the kettle on, but that's the truth. Like I wait ages for open world games to load. Assassin's Creed Origins, Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
Red Dead Redemption 2.
Red Dead, like 2 minutes to load in. Metro Exodus, and you can watch Titanic while that loads. It's just ridiculous. But like the fact that we're getting to a point now with SSDs where loading isn't going to be this big pain anymore. Because all I've heard for all these generations throughout the years is we're going to get lower and so I should say less load times, and that's never really happened, has it?
No,
You
it
know,
may be in the beginning of the generation when they had kind of like either cross gen or they developed games that were brand new to the system. But as we get into the lifespan of the console, these developers realize how much more they can put into the game, and that adds to the load time when they start putting more stuff in, right?
yeah, I mean, at the beginning of this generation, we had a ton of cross-gen titles, and cross-gen titles did load quicker current gen, but like SSDs are just on another level. And if you're mainly a console gamer like me, like it's like a completely new ball game because look, we're moving into a generation where there isn't this huge, massive jump in visuals, but it's all about like all the smaller improvements, load times, less load, or should say smaller loads into like, quick resume. Quick resume, people are able to load 5 different games very quickly. Like I've seen Destiny load in at 5 seconds
Mm.
via quick resume. Forza Motorsport 7, that took about 5 seconds to load in from quick resume. And as someone like me who goes back and forth between games all the time, I won't experience long load times or even load times up to 10 seconds. So, like, it's a huge feature for me. And, like, it's only going to get better because, again, we haven't seen a single optimized game yet. We will later this month. But it's all good, man. Like, the hardware is just very impressive. And the fact that it's brute forcing that and even getting 60 frames on games, like, Jez Corden from Windows Central posted, like, Monster Hunter runs at 60 frames now.
Yeah.
Sekiro runs at 60 frames now. It's just impressive, man. Like I couldn't be more impressed if they tried.
And then games that have dynamic resolution that want to keep kind of like the frame steady, but dip in resolution and stuff. Like I think it was Final Fantasy 15 was kind of like my example there. I'm hearing that graphically the game looks a lot better because it's not dipping. It's not dipping down to like the 720 or whatever it dips down to when enemies are on the screen, stuff like that. So this thing is a powerhouse right here. Like it is definitely a next generation system. And Jamie, I love how you say brute force because again, and you pointed this out, but I really want to point it out to the people in the chat. These are games that are not optimized for SSD. So when games come out that come out for the Series X, of course they're going to be optimized for SSD. They're developed with the SSD in mind. So we're going to get possibly shorter kind of like load times and stuff like that. It's really cool to see. And I do want to shout out our brother Brian in the chat. Brian, I'm not even going to try to say your last name. I do not want to massacre your last name, all right? But he says Destiny is too slow. It needs to be 60 frames, not locked 30. Well, Brian, there is a patch coming out. And I believe, Jamie, correct me if I'm wrong, it's the same day as the launch of the Series X. But Destiny is coming out with a patch that will allow the game to go to 60 frames per second and on the Series X. So if you're interested in Destiny but you feel like it's too slow, if you get your hands on the Series X, Destiny 2 is going to be in Game Pass with the brand new expansion. Well, Destiny 2 is in Game Pass with all the expansions that have come out already. Okay, we're back. I do apologize, guys. My internet is being very wavy right now. Hopefully it stables out. Our internet service provider is really bad, by the way. Really bad. And we only have two choices where we live right now, and it's either bad or worse. So it is what it is. I do apologize for that, guys. But what was I gonna say next? We did load times. We did backwards compatibility. Jamie, what have you heard about how this thing looks in the entertainment kind of like area? Because I heard what was it? I call him Shaggy, but at IGN, he was actually impressed by the way it looks standing. Where I'm probably botting again. Okay. He was impressed by the way it looks standing up, but said laying down it looks like a log. Jamie, what did you hear about how it looks, bro? Okay. Jamie, can you hear me?
But people are coming out and saying that they love the look of this console. The console is very.
I don't know. All right. Hopefully, no, it went back red. Oh my goodness, guys. Can you hear me, guys? People in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. I'm gonna continue to talk about how the Series X looks, and I'm gonna be looking in the chat for answers. Okay. But yeah, the simplistic look, kind of like that cube prism look. It looks good. I saw a couple people put it up next to the TV. I do like the fact that it's actually shorter than the Xbox 360, and it's very surprising. All right, great. All right, cool. It's very surprising that something that when you look at it by itself without it being near the TV or anything, you could think that it's big, and you could think that it might be cumbersome, but it's very simplistic. I like what Shaggy from IGN said. Basically, how it kind of like stands tall over the entertainment system. It looks and feels solid. So all in all, like I think people are liking that more minimalist, like Jamie said, that more minimalist kind of like look to it. Uh, we we can hear you like you. Oh, maybe our internet is absolutely fixed right now. Jamie, are you back?
Yeah, I've been at there. Yeah.
Okay. I'm hearing you. They're hearing us. I think we might be good for a minute, man. Dude, I know you kind of went off real quick, but it was going in and out. It was very bad, the internet connection, and I do apologize, guys. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. But Jamie, what were you saying about the look of the Series X, bro?
I mean, it's just an industrial look. Like if you look at the Xbox One when that launched, that was people said it looked like a VCR. That thing was over engineered to have like way too much airflow going through it. Half of the console's empty, But again, industrial-ish, And then they came out with the One S, which is very super clean box, sharp edges. Then the One X again, sharp edges. They made it look like the disk drive was hidden away. Very industrial design. But if you look at the One X, it's just a rectangle. You know, I've never understood why people want consoles to be like these like floating orbs. It's never made sense to me because like before we knew what these consoles looked like, we saw what all the renders looked like because that's all we had to go off, just fan-made renders. And I didn't understand why they always had to look like these fake game consoles you find in video games. Like, like if you play a Call of Duty game, the last Modern Warfare, and you go into an electronics shop, you see a fake games console, and that's what it looks like, But like, it's just a rectangle, and I'm cool with it.
Jamie, I think it was a bold move because I believe it started last generation with the 360, and I believe the PS3, the launch PS3 as well, where you can stand the consoles up on their side. They don't have to take as much kind of like volume in the entertainment space if you can find a tall enough area. I personally think it was a bold move to go basically standardly tall. Even though you can put it on its side, they kind of went the opposite way with the Series X. Like it looks like it's meant to be tall, but if you want it on its side, you can do that too. What do you think, man? Was that a bold move right there?
Yeah, I mean the look. The thing is, I've never liked the look of gamery type stuff. Like when it comes to hardware, like my gaming chair, is this black leather thing with an Omega logo on it, and that's it. There's no stripes on it. The stripes don't make it go faster because why? But like it's just a very clean look. And the console is just this black box with 144 holes on the top, which I don't know. Was that meant to go 12 by 12 because it's 12 teraflops? I don't know. That's just me reading too much into it.
How did you know it was 144 holes?
12 times 12.
Wow, dude. Yo, dude, I definitely, when it came down to like deciding who is going to be my partner in crime, right then, right there, besides, just the common talk that we have, right then, right there, dude, you were meant for an all Xbox show. That's all I got to say, bro.
I pay too much attention to this stuff, man. like it's just like it's all the small things when it comes to these consoles. Like if you look at the memory card thing, that's the SSD, the external SSD. There's a little line, a physical bump on where you put the card in, but the bump's meant to face towards the right, just so you know how to put it in. It's just small things like that. The Xbox One X, there's a little tiny piece of plastic that goes for the HDMI in, just so if you can't see the back of the console, you know where to put the cable. And it's just like that. The whole console is just this plain looking box, and that's all it needed to be. It didn't need to have RGB all over it. It didn't need to have all these indents or whatever. It's just a box. And for me, for a game console, I don't need it to be anything else other than a box. And I know it's still about the hardware, but I want to talk about the controller.
Yeah, dude, I that was the next part of it. So, again, with the controller, there wasn't really a lot changed in terms of the look, but going on the controller, what do you got to say about that, bro?
It's all about the small refinements. When they made the Xbox One controller, they spent hundreds of millions of dollars just refining the controller. They tried putting speakers on, they tried putting different sensors on, but they just came down to the fact that they just wanted to put out just a slimline controller with not much going on it, because you don't really need a lot. And the thing that they've changed is, they've added the share button, which has multiple functions now. You can press it to take a screenshot, you can hold it to record video, and you can actually customize how it captures gameplay in the options, which is cool. Yeah. And just the small things, like apparently most of the weight in the controller, so if you were to hold the controller right now, most of the weight is in the top 50% of the controller, which means if you're holding the controller up, the weight's trying to make your hands go forward. But in the new controller, the weight's in the handles. So it's going to feel lighter, but while feeling more lighter, it's going to feel more solid because the weight's where you're actually holding it, and you're not going to get that plastic, squeaking noise. Just stuff like that, and things like the D-pad. It's going to be really good for RPGs, for like item management and stuff, because it's very clicky. The shoulder buttons, there's a little groove now in between the shoulder and the trigger now, where you're meant to rest your fingers, because it always annoys me when I see people on video and they claw in the controller with two fingers over each shoulder. It's like, no, stop it. Like, don't do that. Like, that's weird. Like, one finger needed on each side. That's it. Just small refinements. They've put like little physical bumps on the shoulders, just for texture. Just small things like that. And the thing is, moving to this generation, I was worried about the controller. Like, I was worried that they might change too much, because the 360 controller was iconic, and I come to love the Xbox One controller just for the shape of the overall controller, the triggers, everything. And with this controller, they've taken everything I like about it and making it better. I don't want to have this new, different controller every time we change generations. Like, that's just not me. Like, look back at the original Xbox S controller, I think it was called. Like, we went from a controller the size of Jupiter to this smaller controller.
Yeah, and I like the hamburger controller from the OG Xbox. I can't lie, dude. I did really like that one, because I have big hands though. So
yeah, I mean, I liked it, but it's like the smaller controller, you could tell they had something there, and then with the 360, they had protected.
You know what I liked about the OG Xbox, and I kind of wish they brought it back, was the black and white button. I know we have the bumpers, but having those buttons there that represented the same thing as the bumpers, like I would use the black and white buttons more than I would use my bumpers, bro.
Yeah, I mean, I just like all the small refinements, man. I mean, over the years, like, remember on 360 we went from like the squishy D-pad to the twisting transforming D-pad. Like
Yeah.
like the new controller kind of reminds me of that because I liked the switching D-pad. Just like the small improvements, like again, like very industrial design. They flattened the top out a bit just to make it a cleaner look. And another thing when it comes to controllers, they're shutting down design labs for a few months. So some point into 2021, we're going to be able to get new controllers, which is cool.
Nice, nice. And I love what you did right there, man. You went all the way around the controller. And the funny thing is, what I'm excited about is actually what's inside the controller. And before I get into that, let me shout out Michelle in the chat says check out Kevin Kennison's latest video. He shows actual 4K HDR video. You know what? I actually watched that. That was one of my favorite videos showcasing the Series X that, Xbox sent out to people. I am glad that they sent one to Kevin because he is a very, very balanced person. If he doesn't like something that Xbox is doing or something that is coming out on Xbox's side, he will say so. The same with PlayStation. And I remember I first came across his channel. Oh, I said it. Dude, I broke the rule. Do I owe $1? Do I owe $1 or something? Guys, I did it. I need to remove what I said. Dude, it took 6 episodes though. Okay, it took 6 episodes. But when I first came across him, he was actually praising other things, and I was a little like I didn't agree with everything he was saying. But as I was watching more and more of his videos, I realized he's very he's very balanced. So it was good to see that he got one of those. Now, back to the controller. The thing I'm more interested about, I agree with you, Jamie, about like the little things in this. Now, it made sense because Xbox has been known since the 360 for the controller. Even the Xbox One controller, a lot of people say that's like one of the best controllers out there, if not the best. Of course, people go back to the 360 as well and say, well, that one's better. But if it's not broke, don't fix it. But the little things that they did, curving the outside a little bit more, bringing your fingers into the bumpers and triggers just more naturally. I love what you said about the weight. I had no idea about that, the weight distribution. That can mean a lot in terms of feeling when you're playing a game, how the controller feels in your hand. I am very interested on the low latency technology because you can have the flashiest controller in the world, but if it just does not operate well, especially like first-person shooters, stuff like that, a lot of people out there, they're into Call of Duty. They like the Twitch shooter, and you need that performance there. Like, if I had to decide whether or not to have a crazy flashy controller with all types of new, like, gimmicky features, stuff like that, or create a controller that really made sure that the input latency is at its lowest possible like speed. It's as quick as it can be. I would pick the latency over it every time. And so like this is something that we really can't see when it comes to the controller. They could talk about the cosmetics of the controller. We talk about the share button. The biggest thing, the thing I'm most interested in is how that latency is gonna feel. Have you heard anything about, like, in these videos, anybody talking about the controller in terms of latency yet, Jamie?
I don't think anyone's mentioned it. I think they get that in an update. But I mean that stuff will help with things like first person shooters, fighting games, and all that stuff. And I know a lot of people, like, when they first saw the controller, they were like, well, it didn't change too much. But can anyone remember that episode of The Simpsons where Homer was told that he had to design a car?
Oh, one of my favorites.
Now, industrial design for cars has never changed, really. Cars have pretty much always been the same, but Homer had to do the bad thing. The car was pretty much 2 domes attached to each other. like we don't need controllers changed dramatically. I can't even talk at the minute. But
Dramatically, well, dramatically, you can see pickles in your TV, so we're even.
yeah, but like when it comes to the Xbox controller, everyone knew at the time in the 360 it was just the best controller. Like the offset sticks, just everything about it. And then they just had to improve it because again, they did all the research with the Xbox One controller. They knew that they didn't have to put stuff on, but you know what they did put on? What people asked for? A share button. Like that's all people really asked for with this
Yeah.
new controller. And ever since the controller was shown off, I've seen genuine excitement over just in a single button added. Because again, a share button is useful. We currently use the Xbox button for taking screenshots, but again, you have to go from pressing a button to pressing another button. So you're taking 2 or 3 button presses away to just a single button press for a screenshot, which is cool in my opinion. And that was just the right way to go. Because imagine if they added a bunch of stuff to this Xbox controller. People would be livid. If they put, imagine if they put a screen on, right? I wouldn't want a screen on this. Why? I'm not going to just touch the middle of the controller all the time. And that's not me referencing any other controller with a screen. I'm just saying that if it works, don't fix it.
Yeah, no, exactly. And when it comes down to it, I think people are going to realize, in terms of the technology, that again, that's what I'm interested in. I'm interested, it's going to feel familiar. I think it's going to be slightly more comfortable to people. And I'm interested in on the tech. I got to give a shout out real quick because one of my most respected gamers is in the chat right now. One of the smartest gamers that I know in this community. Shout out to Delilah HD. It is good to see you in the chat. Delilah, I would love to have you on this show as a guest sometime. Like we definitely got to talk in a DM or something. Jamie, have you ever had any discussions with Delilah HD?
I've had some back and forth on Twitter. She's cool.
Dude, I utmost respect. She is one of the smartest gamers I know, and I absolutely love talking about like gaming news and topics with her. It is good to see you in the chat. Thank you for showing up. But yeah, all in all, I think the first round of embargoes that lifted and what were shown, if you notice, Series X is absolutely everywhere right now. Like people are talking about it. Even some people are like, oh, they're playing old games and stuff. They don't they I don't know if they're just blinded to the whole there was an embargo. This is what they can talk about right now. Jamie, let me ask you real quick because again, this is a big marketing thing when it comes to Xbox. It's a good way to let gamers kind of get to know. Whoa, Lady Foxfire, what is up? Awesome, great to see you in the chat, lady. Yo, another highly respected gamer. Yo, shout out to the chat. You guys are absolutely amazing. Jamie, I forgot what I was talking about, man. My mind just got blown. What was I talking about? Yeah.
I'm gone, man. I have no idea.
Oh, okay. Okay, I'm back. Because, this is the first line of embargoes. This is a big marketing thing. It's getting people introduced to the Series X in terms of performance, all that good stuff. Dude, if you had to guess, or if you were in charge of this whole marketing thing, what would be the next embargo lifted? What do you think the next kind of like round of content is going to be from the people who are like, basically going hands-on with the Series X?
I think there'll probably be more, optimized games that we've seen, current generation games. Things like, Gears of War 5, things like, Sea of Thieves, stuff like that, stuff they already have, first party, in the oven type thing. But, I think the big one really that they're going to, show off before launch is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Like that thing is going to be 4K 60 on it, and that will be quite a showpiece.
That is interesting. And you know what, dude? Again, freaking, I didn't even think about games that are like first party. The Sea of Thieves stuff like that. That they could have an optimization ready and these influencers out there, these gaming news journalists, like they can be playing or have played these games and created their content, and they're just waiting to lift that embargo, optimized for the Series X. I think that would be a great kind of like next step. When do you think they're going to go into detail about the user interface, man?
I'm thinking over the next week or so. I've seen multiple people online talk about something's happening this next week, and the way Microsoft's doing their whole NDA with the Xbox Series X, like it could just be like more stuff like that. Again, Gears Tactics, Xbox Series X optimized, 4K 60. The UI, we have technically seen a part of the UI.
Yeah,
Major Nelson posted it, but the moving background. Again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So it's like, it's probably the thing is they wouldn't have an NDA in place if there wasn't something added, you know.
that's
So
true.
I think over the thing is I think they're going to drip feed new stuff every week up until launch because it kind of feels like what they're doing anyway.
Oh, yo, shout out to Ernie in the chat. Said that Scorn devs did say that they will have more information this month as well. Jamie, what do you think about Scorn and what we've seen so far?
That game is creepy
Yeah,
AF.
yo, for real.
I've kept my eyes on this game for about 3 years now, ever since it started Kickstarter, and it just looks disgusting, but I like it. It gives me H.I. Geiger vibes. Very alien-esque,
Mm-hmm.
and a, a kind of game that makes you feel unsettled just to play it and just to walk around. It's going to be funky to play when you get into the heat of it. So yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Again, we should be seeing gameplay soon for that. And even things like the medium's clearly ready to show us.
Dude,
There's plenty of clips on Twitter.
I think that is the star right now when it comes to the launch of the Series X, and like I think that in a lot of people's minds that is the game to play when the Series X comes out.
Yeah, I mean, like as Crispy just said, we're gonna have alien penises in Scorn, and we're gonna have ray traced whatever in the medium. The thing is, I think it's gonna be interesting to have two horror games as launch window titles, which we never usually see.
Wow, Windows. It's all about Windows this coming generation. Launch Windows everywhere. Um But yeah, no, it's going to be interesting. I'm excited to see what embargoes lift next. Again, multiple YouTubers, multiple gaming journalists have stated that what they shared so far is the information that they could share for the embargoes that were lifted, and they did say more to come. So anybody that's trying to say that all they're showing is old games and stuff like that, they're ignoring what these people are saying, and it's exciting to see. I actually, what do you think about this marketing move? Giving the consoles out there, letting people like take them home, make their content, do their articles, all that good stuff, but only like in sections. Like I actually think this is a good idea. It's kind of like building a wave. What do you think, bro?
It's exactly that. Like, think about it. They came out at the Game Awards and showed us the console outright, and then a few months later, they just told us the specs months before we would have had E3. And we did go a while without much news, but now the console prices leaks. We got the news the next day. We got the Bethesda stuff, and ever since there's just been this slow drip feed of news. And I think with everything going on in the world right now, people are appreciating this like slow drip feed of news because again, we have something new to talk about every week. All these influencers have something new to talk about every week, and with everyone getting all these updates and the NDAs like changing and stuff, like again, people like Kevin Kenson and Lamar Wilson and your average consumer like Austin Evans, all these huge content creators are going to be talking about Xbox for the next month and a half. So that's what I think they're trying to do. And again, all these influencers talking about Xbox constantly, and it just gets the word out. Because I've seen people that have not been interested in Xbox talking about quick resume. So it's clearly working to some degree. And again, the console's selling out. People like the console.
I'm glad you and I know you brought it up before, and then we were having internet problems and stuff. But thank God we are back and steady now. So the one thing before we move on to the other stuff real quick is the quick resume. Now, I will say when I first saw a quick resume, I was like, that's not really quick because it goes to like the graphic before the game starts. It still does that, and I was like, man, I was hoping that they would skip over that, but I think it was Jeff Grubb in his video, or I'm not sure if it was him or somebody else. I want to say Jeff Grubb, but somebody was like, "Oh, you don't think that was fast?" And they went back to the Xbox One X, and it's like, this is what it was like. This is what it was like to switch games on the One X, and I'm like, oh damn, that is quick resume. So, and from what I noticed, man, like there can be a bunch of games in that quick resume kind of like cache to go back into and play, and I was actually really impressed with it. What do you think, brother?
I mean, again, like this is something I'm going to use, and like I usually do have like sometimes 3, 4 games going at any time. So for me, that's a big deal because again, things like Final Fantasy that loading at 11 seconds unoptimized. Well, with quick resume, it's going to go from 11 seconds to 5 seconds. That's amazing. Like, so I love this feature. Again, we still have stuff to find out. It's the main feature I've been looking forward to since they've told us. Because like the problem with playing games now is that if you play an open world game, you have to worry about the initial load and then the load into the game. And then if you wreck your save, you have to load back. Well, that's just going to be, reduced because again, less time loading is more time playing. And to me, that's a big deal. So I love all this quick resume stuff. Jeff Grubb, all of his videos where he's been showing it off. Like, it's just impressive tech. Again, the SSD is doing all this magical goodness, and it's just going to be paying off for everyone's time next gen.
Nice, brother. And on that note, we are moving on to the next topic, and this is something I have wanted to talk about. I think I wanted to talk about it last week with you as well, but I forgot. Like
before we talk about this next topic, should I get the rant out of the way?
Oh, guys, everybody, buckle your seatbelts because Jamie Moran is upset, and he wants to get something off his chest. So, Jamie, the floor is yours. What are you mad about, bro?
Microsoft's been very transparent with the console for months now, ever since they announced it. Mm-hmm. And like I don't like to give like companies like hate all the time. Like people laugh at EA all the time. I can see that they're trying to get better. Microsoft has came such a long way over the past 7 years that people literally, it's got to a point now where people are trying to find things and making things up to complain about. So like people complain for years about studios. Like look at it like this: the beginning of this generation, they had Turn 10, they had 343, and they had Rare, pretty much. That's pretty much all they had making games outside of Lionhead, which got shut down and all that stuff. But people wanted more studios. They got all these studios. People wanted more studios. They got more studios. And now we're at 23. So it's like we see all these games coming down the line, and it's not going to be about Halo, Forza Gears anymore. It's going to be like, okay, so which RPG are we getting this week? And it's like just all the different genres that they're coming out with, and like Game Pass is such a good deal for people that people have to find things to complain about. This past week, I've seen nothing but people complain about Game Pass and how it devalues games again. I've seen nothing about, and this really angered me. People like, there's only 500 backwards compatible games day one on Xbox Series X. It's like, no, asshats. That's not how it works. We're gonna have thousands day one.
Where did they? Do you know where they got 500 from?
So the people testing the games right now, they had access to a certain amount of games to test, and now they have like over 1,000 to test, I believe. They're getting drip feeded 100 at a time, and by launch, all of them are going to be there, except for Kinect titles. But again, who cares? It's just a shame because like Microsoft being so transparent, like we know everything about the console pretty much. Like we know about the backwards compatibility thing, and it's just a shame because, like, yesterday I saw this thing kicking off because people were like, oh, the Xbox Series X overheats. And I'm like, clowns everywhere.
Oh
What
yeah,
the
see,
hell?
I got something to say about that. Go in on that because I got something to say about this overheating thing. Like when I heard that, I went into the internet and I tried to search for anything that said the Series X was overheating. Now that's for the community out there as well as myself. You know, if there was something wrong, we got to report it. You know, here to the community and whatnot. But go ahead because I got something to say about that overheating when you're done. Yeah.
It's reported that this console is super quiet, yet it pushes more airflow, airflow than the Xbox One X, right? Which is a lot of air. So it's doing that, keep them cool and keep them quiet. Yet people are coming out saying the console's overheating just because of this error screen. And the error screen itself says, don't have your uh, what do you call it? Power supply on a bed. It's like clearly off an old Xbox. It's like people start spreading this, and I saw these asshats doing this thing where they're tagging a bunch of negative people in the community to try and get this thing out, and they put a bloody PNG of the smoke over an Xbox Series X just to emphasize that it's hot. Ooh, like people couldn't figure out that it was a PNG. Come on, man. But it's like people the Xbox Series X is in such a good position. People are legitimately making crap up just to, throw it down the toilet. And it's just a shame because like the people don't have dignity anymore. Like I get it, people want to have jokes about consoles and stuff, but it's like, come on, man. It's clearly a good value proposition. We're getting a $500 4K 60 ray tracing box that can do 120 frames, and people want to say it's overheating despite the fact that it has a fan practically as wide as the console itself. Come on, clowns! I'm sorry, but the people that are running with this and making clickbait, they aren't clowns. They are the entire circus.
Wow.
I'm sick of it. People need to be put. I hate it. I hate all these people that just clickbait this bullshit, and it's just annoying because these people get attention by negativity constantly. People saying that the concerned. And if you're concerned or 124 hours a day complaining on Twitter and tagging, Xbox executives saying you demand something to change, you want Game Pass to change, you don't want games going on PC, it's like, grow the F up, you little childish asshats. Like, I had to say that, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's all good, brother. Now on the overheating thing, I'm a part of a few DMs, and I asked them for some information about this overheating because I was checking the internet, I was getting nothing, and somebody I won't name names, I'm not about that, but somebody gave me a video where there were 4 people in a podcast, and they were all on camera, and one of them pulled out the SSD while the Series X was in standby mode. While it was on, it was idle, right? And he was talking about how hot it was. Yo, shout out to Six Slayer. Dude, good to see you, brother. Thank you for hitting up that super chat. Definitely appreciate it. He says, preach at the Elusive Gamer, man. I think Six Slayer is a Elusive Gamer fan, Jamie.
Believe me. Well, thanks. Believe me when I say it. I try so hard to tone down my swearing because I'm from the Northeast. Swearing is part of our language, so it's difficult for me to tone it down. Just trust me.
Now, with this SSD, like for people who don't know, Seagate and Xbox came together and created an SSD expansion card, right? And you plug it into the back of the Xbox. Now, the cool thing about it is the metal sleeve, when you plug it in, the metal sleeve makes contact with another metal part, which uses it as like a cooling tool. It makes sure the SSD on the inside is cool. Now, when it comes to just say regular, like say vapor chambers or any other cooling unit that's inside a PC, this guy, when he pulled it out, he said it was hot. Now, go into comparison with cooling apparatuses when it comes to the PC. What he was touching there was the metal piece. That's like touching the piece that was that was touching the CPU on your cooling unit inside your PC. It's gonna be warm. It's gonna be hot. That's the spot right there that draws the heat away from the electronics. Like, Jamie, do you understand what I'm saying here? Like, he thought this thing was hot, and it's
I
like
mean,
that's the part that was supposed to be hot because that was the contact that was drawing heat away from the actual SSD inside the card.
part of the card itself is a heatsink.
Yes.
Shocker, absolute shocker that a heatsink is hot. Like, if I open up my laptop right now and put my hands in it and I burn it, whose fault is it? Is it the manufacturer's or mine? Again, it's also with the quick resume thing. I saw people legitimately shocked that quick resume doesn't work with multiplayer. Oh my god, imagine that! Like, what the hell? Like, it's just again, it's another thing for people to try and fight to complain about because people are saying that the electronics is too hot. I shouldn't touch it, should I? Question mark! Explanation mark! It's like, come on, man, grow a pair and just get over it. Like. Again, I just it's more concern trolling. Like people are surprised that a heat sink was hot. Hey, heat sink.
Yeah, it's like when you put a heat sink on top of your CPU on your PC, you install a heat sink. It's like running that thing for like 80 minutes, right? And then opening it up as quick as possible, pulling that heat sink out, and then touching the part that was connected to the CPU. Like, that's gonna be hot. All right, I don't see anything right now that really points to an overheating issue. But one thing I will let people know in the chat and anybody who checks this show out afterwards, so when we're not live, if there are any issues, any viable like pieces of information that something is wrong when it comes to the Series X, we will definitely let you know about it. We will talk about it here. We will get the word out because we're about the Xbox gamers. That's what this show is all about. And again, we're not just here to praise things, all right? We're not here to say that Xbox does no wrong, anything like that. So if there is any viable information out there, we will definitely share it with you guys. Anything else, Jamie, before we move on?
Look, if people are doing more concern trolling, call them out on it because I see it every day. And the thing is, I see people like tagging Phil Spencer and Aaron Greenberg saying, "Is it true that the console overheats?" It's like, do your own research, man. Come on, it's right. I'll say this here, even though it's kind of off topic. I sometimes post genuine facts that are easy to find with a simple Google search, and people ask me for a source. In that time, they could have searched for it themselves and got the answer quicker. Like, it's just the equivalent of that. And the thing is, I looked for the source of the overheating thing. It wasn't from Reddit. It wasn't from Reset Error. It wasn't from 4chan or anywhere else like that. It was from a dude on Twitter tagging dudes. Like, and source, dude, trust me. That's all it boiled down to. Again, the Series X has an internal power supply, and the thing said, "Don't put your Xbox or power supply on the bed." It was literally written on the screen. Like,
I don't know. It's insane. But, Jamie, we're going to deal with this time and time again. When it comes down to it, there are Xbox haters out there. There are people trying to poke and prod and find anything negative that they can talk about when it comes to the Xbox. And, it's a good thing that shows like us and, Xbox 2, shout out to Jez Gordon. And my buddy Rand Al Soft Serve, and other Xbox shows out there as well. We will put the information out there. We will let you guys know what is going on. Jamie, I'm gonna start this topic real quick, but I also got to run to the bathroom, so I'm gonna hand it to you, and then I'm gonna be as quick as possible. Sorry, dude, I didn't do it before the show, and now nature is calling big time. But dude. An interesting topic, and again, one that I really wanted to talk about. It seems that the rumor about the possible acquisition of Sega just won't go away. People, I've seen it multiple times throughout the week. There's another acquisition that won't go away as well, but we'll get into that because I think there's a different reason there. But you even have like certain things being done by people that work at Xbox that really are helping to fuel the rumor of the possibility that Sega will be acquired by Xbox. I gotta ask you, man, and again, I'm gonna run real quick, so you're gonna be talking to the chat for a second here, but I gotta ask you, what do you think about this rumor? What do you think about how Xbox keeps fueling it? Like, certain people that are working on their Xbox keep fueling it, and what do you think? Do you think because of all that, if it's true or not? So the mic is yours, and I will be right back, bro.
Right. So whenever there's anything Sega related in Xbox in the same sentence, people question: is there a deal in place? Is Microsoft going to purchase Sega? We've had this song and dance for about a year and a half now. All the way back to early last year with is Microsoft getting Vanquish too? Like, these rumors do not stop. But Aaron Greenberg on Instagram posted a video of a hedgehog. Like, so that's either one or two things. That's either a tease or him just playing it up as a joke. Because look, when it comes to like Microsoft Studios, people know that they need Japanese studios. Whether you like those games or not, Microsoft needs them. And Sega has a lot of them. Atlas make Persona. Persona has never been on Xbox. That's kind of the big JRPG left to come to Xbox. So you have to wonder, is Microsoft, could they really outright buy Sega? Because again, they have a lot of studios. They have the studio behind Halo Wars, Creative Assembly. They made Alien Isolation. They have a broad range of talent. So I could see that maybe happening for that. But you have to wonder, could it have something to do with, the Xbox Series S, selling out, and the X selling out in seconds in Japan, So maybe they want to get a deal in place for more Japanese games. And one of those big developers being Sega kind of makes sense. And for me personally, I don't think they should necessarily buy Sega. I think it'd just be better to do deals with them. People could, argue with me on that.
Dude,
but
I will disagree with you on that one. Go, keep going, bro.
like, don't get me wrong. I want Microsoft to somehow get some sort of Vanquish 2. Like, I would love a Vanquish 2. And, it would suit Xbox. It's a futuristic third-person shooter. It would do well. But, like, I can't see the purchase happening. Would I complain if it happened? Hell no. No, I think it would be cool. But, I just think this whole Sega thing, the controller being the exact same shade of blue as Sonic, which, it's a bit of coincidence, I have to admit. But it's like, I would be okay with the purchase. I get it. It makes business sense for Japan and stuff. But, I can just see this whole thing as being about deals. Because, again, they need more Japanese content for Game Pass. They have Final Fantasy coming. They have Dragon Quest coming. And probably some other stuff. And they have Yakuza, already in place. So it's like, they probably just want more stuff for Game Pass. And that would make sense, especially with these new consoles, like, selling really quick over there.
When it comes down to it, Xbox acquired ZeniMax, right? And when they acquired ZeniMax, certain people came out that were working at Xbox and like, finally, I can say this. Like, they've basically been working on that acquisition since 2018. Okay. When it comes to the Sega acquisition, I think if it is going to happen, they might be getting closer to it happening. Kind of like, I don't think there's a real rush on it because, Jamie, you said 23 studios already. That is a lot of studios, and I know they're going to need a lot of studios because they want to make sure there is enough new content in Game Pass to make it absolutely desirable for any gamer out there. And speaking of any gamer, let me shout out Boom Boom Kaboom! Nukem is in the chat. What is up, brother? Really good to see you in the chat. And I had to interrupt it and say something to you, bro, because anytime I shouted you out, like, it was way too long after I saw you, and I didn't know if you were there. So, but shout out to Nukem, my Canadian brother. But with the Sega acquisition, the thing that's got me so kind of like interested in this in terms of it might be true would be Aaron Greenberg and his picture petting the hedgehog, because that was right in the height of, people talking about a possible Sega acquisition. And I think it was on his Instagram and somebody shared it on Twitter. But for him to put that out there like that makes me think something's up. And Jamie, I gotta disagree with you, man. I say buy it and it's not because of like Vanquish 2s and stuff like that. All the old school titles, like if you're gonna acquire Sega, make sure you get the rights to all the old school titles that they can come with a brand new kind of like fresh look, a fresh feel on some of those Sega classics. And I think that, having the name and then putting the quality in the game would mean a lot, man. They can do bigger titles through Sega and their IPs. They can do smaller titles, which they said they also need to fill in Game Pass. Dude, deals are good. Don't get me wrong, but you got to remember Xbox got burnt by deals this generation when it came to Scalebound. Quantum Break as well, because they took forever to get that game out. And then, of course, Resolution and all that good stuff kind of took effect. But I feel like if they're going to do it big and buy the company, buy Sega. And again, what you were saying about Japanese titles, also, it makes sense. Dude, do you think they're going to pull the trigger on this?
I mean, if you had asked me 3 weeks ago or 4 weeks ago, were they going to buy Bethesda, I would have said no. So it's like, clearly that what my answer won't mean anything. You never know, man. Hey, look, I have no problem with Microsoft picking up Sega. I really don't. I just think they're probably just getting more deals, But again, in the past, it hasn't worked out. Scalebound. To this day, I still see people asking for Scalebound to come back. It's like it's time to let go, people. Yeah. And plus, I'd rather have someone other than Platinum make that. Anyway, I mean, look, it would be cool, like to have more future Yakuza games, coming to Xbox. That would be cool. Persona, I see a lot of people asking for Persona to come to Xbox because again, we've got Final Fantasy, we've got Kingdom Hearts, we've got Dragon Quest. We need Persona now. So that would be a big get for Xbox because again, Persona is a huge game, and it wouldn't surprise me, to be honest. Again, Bethesda came out of nowhere, so hey, I'm for it if it happens.
Nice, and it's gonna be interesting, man. I think when it comes down to it as well. This is another thing, Jamie, to think about. Microsoft and Sega have a good working relationship together. It started back with the Dreamcast and the original Xbox. Like Microsoft was involved in development of the Dreamcast. I call the Dreamcast the prototype Xbox because there are a lot of things that they brought over from the Dreamcast into the OG Xbox, and you can tell that Sega and Xbox were working well together, man. And I think they kept that business relationship close, even to the point now where they might come together, bro.
I mean, it's possible. Again, like you said, the relationship's been there for a long time. Look at a lot of like the original Xbox games. A lot of those were Sega titles.
Mm-hmm.
So, hey, I never know. You never know. It could happen. Again, like I do find it odd that the controller just happens to be the exact shade of blue as Sonic. Not similar. Not just a few numbers off. It's literally the exact same shade, which is a bit susp. But like Aaron Greenberg posting the video of the hedgehog. It's like, come on, like he's either playing with our emotions or it's happening. So
okay, I got you, brother. And with that, let's move on to the next kind of like acquisition real quick, and then I think we're gonna kind of after we get through this topic, we'll see what time it is, but I think we'll probably kind of wind it down after that. But again, another acquisition that this is more kind of like gamers out there. On social media, they keep bringing it up, but there are articles as well in terms of Xbox and Bungie. At least at one point in time, we're in talks for an acquisition of Bungie as well, and there are people out there that will not let this go. And me personally, I think it's for a certain reason that I don't necessarily agree with. Now, Jamie, I know you're out on social media. I know you see these things. What What do you think about people kind of like keeping the hype up for a Bungie acquisition, and why do you think they're doing it, and do you think it's justified in the reasoning of why they want Bungie back at Xbox?
I see it quite a lot, and everyone listening knows why. It's Halo. People, and the thing is, the people always mention this. They always happen to have, a Master Chief picture or something like that. It's like, I get it. We get it, okay? But you have to think about it. Halo is an old franchise by now. It's almost 20 years old, and for almost half that time, 343's been behind the wheel. Like, people tend to forget that. So I get it. People want 343 back on Halo. And the thing is, I personally, I'm fine with anyone having their own favorite Halo. I don't care if it's CE, Halo Wars, ODST, whatever. I don't care. As long as people are enjoying Halo, they are a Halo fan. So I'll get that out of the way first. I don't want Bungie back on Halo. I just don't. And I like play Halo 4. The storytelling, amazing. Play Halo 5's multiplayer, amazing. Combine the two, you've got a smash and hit, right? But the problem is that, and I'm not even talking about Infinite. Like 4, like the story between Chief and Cortana while trying to save Earth, that made the game just feel more personal, which I never saw from Bungie before. And the thing is, Destiny is a smash hit. Like, it is like one of the best selling games this generation. But when it comes to me personally, I don't think that Bungie can tell a cinematic Halo story how 343 can. Now, they did mess it up with Halo 5. That's granted. Everyone knows that. We've got the T-shirt. Everyone knows.
We got the T-shirt.
It's just that, the multiplayer was so good. So you'd think with Infinite, it's going to be the combination of two. And look, people that are... there's a group of people, be it, a quiet, or should I say a loud minority of people that, they cannot get over the fact that sprint's in the game. They can't get over the fact that, who would have thought a super soldier could run? It's mind-blowing. Imagine if Captain America couldn't run. Like I get, like, there's a group of people that want Bungie to be back on Halo, so 343 could be making whatever. And the thing is, I'm fine with people wanting that. But it's like, I like franchises to change over time. Like, I'm cool with it. And, would Bungie make sense for Microsoft? And you have to think like Phil Spencer, huge Destiny fan. Destiny's big on Xbox. It's a first-person shooter with loot. It's big. So, like, I kind of get it. It's big in Game Pass. We had a bunch of new stuff in Game Pass for Destiny. The next lot of Destiny stuff is coming to Game Pass, so there's clearly a big deal there. So it's like, would it make sense money-wise to purchase them so they can have Destiny for life in Game Pass? Absolutely. But you have to look at it like this. Like, don't they also have money from Tencent to make an exclusive, or should I say, a multi-plat for them? Like, I remember reading about that a while ago.
I forgot the name of the game, too. Like, I remember the kind of like the rainbow color on the white background. I forgot the name of the game. But yeah, they definitely have a deal in place to make that game as well.
And, like, I think Halo, like, people are mainly wanting Bungie back for Halo. But I think Halo is in more interesting spot than ever now because of Bethesda. Like, imagine if Machine Games made a Halo spin-off. That would be mind-blowing. Like, again, imagine ODST 2 made by Machine Games. People's minds blow across the world, It's just like, I think that Halo can be bigger and just... Halo doesn't need Bungie. That's just a fact. I'm going to get this out the way now, and people might not like it, but the decline of Halo and its multiplayer didn't happen because of Halo 4. It happened because of Call of Duty. Call of Duty has this super quick fastness to it. You learn it quick. You don't have to worry about shields or anything, Time to kill is super quick. But with Halo requires actual, like, tactics and stuff.
Strategy.
Like, you have to...
Yeah, there's a one-on-one strategy in Halo that's absolutely addicting to me, man.
Like think about, if I'm going 1v1 with someone in Call of Duty, it's whoever pops off the first shot and hits is probably going to win.
Hits the head first. That's pretty much what you got to do.
And you have all these people doing 360 no scopes and stuff. Like, and then you have Halo. You have to wear down the shields and then kill them. But that's what Halo is. And the thing is, I know so many people that picked up, Call of Duty after trying Halo back in 2007, whatever. They got into Call of Duty really quick and just stopped playing Halo because Halo's barrier to entry is just higher. So people like to blame 343 for the decline of Halo, and it's like, no, it's not. The decline of Halo happened because Call of Duty's popularity popped off.
Well,
Like,
not only that, but again, and this is me. I've been in the Halo community for a long time. One thing I will say is that when Halos come out, they are always heavily scrutinized by the actual Halo community. And people want to talk about 343, but when Bungie came out with Halo Reach, when Halo Reach launched, the Halo community was in an uproar. Like there was so many things they didn't like about the game, the abilities, and they went on and on about how that was the worst Halo. Now you look back at it now, right? Look back at it now, and a lot of gamers say that is one of the best Halos that they have made. So like when it comes down to it, Bungie at the helm made Halo Reach, and that was the start of the truly kind of like massive kind of like uproars that started when it came to Halo. But go ahead, bro.
no, I mean, you're right. Like, every Halo, people complained. Like, I remember being on message boards for Halo 2. Remember that ending? People complained about that ending. People complained that they had to play as Arbiter. Like, oh my God, we don't get to play as Chief as half the game. That was all over the place. Like, people might not be old enough to remember, but like, people were angry. And then what happens? Halo 3 comes out, and then Halo 2 gets all this past love. People are like, oh, Halo 2 is one of the best games ever made. Look at the multiplayer is fantastic. And then we have Halo 3, and like, I saw a lot of people complain about Halo 3 because it didn't do much different to Halo 2. Did I complain? No, I thought Halo 3 was a fun time. But it's like, every Halo comes out, gets this massive wave of hate, and then sometime later, people love it. Yeah. Look at Halo 2, Halo 3, Halo Reach. Halo Reach got hated a lot. Halo ODST, people are like, it's not a Halo game.
You're not my playing, Halo game. You're not playing as a Spartan. What?
Yeah, and like Halo Wars. Do you know when Halo Wars was announced with that CGI trailer? I lost my mind because I always thought a Halo RTS would be cool, and then I got one. It was amazing. But it's like, people complained because it was an RTS made by a completely different team, and people complained. Halo 4, people complained. Why? Because the added sprint. Boo hoo. Like, it's like when I play games, I don't want to feel like I'm running in treacle. It's like, it's just weird. And then Halo 5, we can all agree that campaign is not the best, but you have to see it.
Kind of like I would say it was kind of like give it like a Halo 4.5. Like they had every kind of like scenario covered, but it didn't feel like a whole story in the campaign. Like, they had your big battles where you were either in the Mantis or you were in the Scorpion. You had more close quarter battles. You had, they had kind of like every battle scenario in Halo 5's campaign. Just at the end, like, there wasn't a fulfillment at the end of the story for me. You know what I'm saying? Like, I enjoyed playing through it, but the story of Halo 5 didn't grab me and pull me forward the way like Halo 4 did, other Halo campaigns did.
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing, the year was 2020. Do you know what I see a lot on Twitter? People saying how much they loved Halo 4's campaign.
Yes.
Like, and will Halo 5's campaign get the same love later? I doubt it, but the thing is, people love that multiplayer. People love War. I love Warzone Firefight. Like, that game is legitimately fun. But it's like, down the line, people realize, wait, I hated on that game for no reason. Same with Mass Effect 3. People love Mass Effect 3 now, and they hated on it when it came out because of its ending. But it's like, looking back on it, it's like, the problem is with these huge franchises is that, and this goes into film as well, so it goes into Star Wars. So people get used to a certain thing. It changes. People dislike it. It changes or goes back to how it was. People like its past thing. Look at Star Wars. The prequel trilogy came out. It got memed to hell. People hated on it constantly. And then we had a few years without Star Wars films, and people were like, those prequel films weren't that bad.
Weren't that bad.
And then these new films got trailers, and then people went back to the prequels again. They're like, wait a minute, I like the prequel trilogy. And then the prequel films, the sequel trilogy comes out, and people are like, I hate this trilogy. It's the worst thing in existence. I'm going to create 5,000 YouTube channels to bash this franchise every day. But all these people love the prequel trilogy now. So
that's insane.
No matter what it is, there's this like hype cycle, hate cycle, hype cycle, hate cycle, and people, and like 10 years from now, people will love the sequel trilogy. People can disagree with me, but all evidence from the past suggests that's going to happen again. You know, Halo Infinite got all this hate now, but 10 years from now, people will forget about all this crap with the Craig memes and stuff and be like, you know what, Halo Infinite was good. It's going to happen again. But
I can't wait until that game releases, man.
But when it comes to the whole Bungie thing, I get it. The problem is, like, and the thing is, I'm not saying these people are wrong. I'm just my own person with my own opinion. I just feel like Halo needed to evolve, like how Mario did back in the day. And I love Mario. You know, and this is an Xbox podcast, but I'm talking about evolution here. Look at Deus Ex. Deus Ex Human Revolution. They put proper sprint in the sequel, and they put clamber in. Do you know what people didn't complain about? Sprint and clamber, because that makes sense. That's what people can do, you know? And when they put clamber in Halo, I'm like, oh, finally, I can get to ledges properly now.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the end of the world for me. And people want Bungie to come back to bring Halo back to Halo 3. I don't want to be playing Halo 3 for the rest of my life.
Have you played Halo 3 recently? Because, you know, we have the Master Chief Collection. Like, have you played that within the last, like, say, year or so?
Yeah.
Dude, how's it feel?
So, if you play Halo 4 5, if you play Halo 4 5, right, if you want to get from point A to point B, you figure out that you just end up running. But in all the past Halo games, you just walked.
Yeah.
Master Chief is having to save the universe, save Earth, and he walks to his next destination.
Just strolling.
And, but in cutscenes he runs. Do you know, I think I've read this a while back. It's like, I like to post this thing on Twitter every few months, and some people don't pick up on it. I post a GIF of the Halo 3 trailer, and I say, I love seeing Master Chief sprinting to action, because that's what he does in the Halo 3 trailer. I do that so I can weed out the people that get, you know, hate like sprint. And the thing is, people are allowed to, you know, dislike sprint in the game. That's fine. But like, I personally like games to evolve. You know, Gears of War has evolved. It's a semi-open world game now with some exploration. I like it. You know, Star Trek Armada 2 on the PC evolved from the first game. I liked it. It's just how I am with games. You know, there are people that still play CSGO like 15 years later or whatever. And that's fine. But me personally, I'm not going to lie to everyone listening just so I can pander to some people. You know, I don't want Bungie back on Halo. But do you know what Bungie does like making? Destiny. People love Destiny. Whether I like it or not, it's a huge game. So when it comes to that, I could see Microsoft picking up for, you know, more Bungie exclusivity when it comes to like the Game Pass stuff.
Yeah, and that was my cue to kind of give my thoughts on this real quick. When you brought it back to Destiny, you know, there are hardcore old school Halo people, like you said, they want Halo 3 and they want Halo 3 over and over and over again. I actually like how Halo has evolved. They put in the run, they put in the clamber, they expanded the characters, stuff like that. Like I like where Halo is going. Did I think Halo 5 was the best campaign? No, I did not. Do I think it had the best multiplayer? Hell yeah, I do. Like I was addicted to the Halo 5 multiplayer more than any other Halo multiplayer. And I played them all. And I played them all a lot. Real quick, shout out to Bounty Boom hitting up that super chat. Thank you for the support, brother. Definitely appreciate it. He says, I agree with you. Let 343 do what they can with Halo and Microsoft to just make deals with Bungie revolving Game Pass. Let the DLC come on Game Pass. Now, Bounty, I'm going to get into it. And he was agreeing with you, Jamie, on that one. Here's the deal when it comes to Bungie. First off, Bungie is already beyond Halo. They have created an entire world an entire universe, the same way that they did with Halo, they did it with Destiny. And I don't think that they just want to leave that to go back to something that, check this out. When it comes to the people working at Bungie, they are not the same. They are not all the same people that were working on, at Bungie for Halo. They have a lot of new faces in there now. They have a lot of different people, different developers working on Destiny 2. They have become a Destiny studio. Why would you want them to go and take over Halo when at 343 you have a lot of the Bungie veterans that are still at that studio as well? It doesn't make sense. They tried to naturally evolve Halo, and unfortunately the Halo community, which I am a part of, but you got to be honest here, the Halo community is one of the communities that criticizes absolutely everything when it comes to their franchise. They love their game and they love to hate their game at certain points in time. And it's just what that community does. Now, unfortunately, I feel like 343 listened to the old school Halo community when it came to Halo Infinite a little too much, and they didn't see the grander scope when it came to Halo Infinite, but they delayed that game and they are working on it now. I like the exploration that they're putting into Halo Infinite. I think that's going to be the key thing that'll keep me going in the campaign. But Bungie is no longer a Halo studio. They are a Destiny studio. They built a universe and they created a game within that universe, and they want to continue building that universe. So who are we to say that, you know what, Microsoft, Xbox, they need to acquire them and then push them back onto Halo? Why would you do that? That makes no sense whatsoever.
As like a huge sci-fi fan, like I'm aware that there's a problem with sci-fi. Like think about any other genre, fantasy, horror, everything. There's millions of different like mini franchises, but when it comes to active big franchises, when it comes to sci-fi, there aren't many. We have Star Trek, Star Wars. Dune. They're gonna try and make Dune big, but when it comes to video games, like you have Mass Effect, you have Halo, and you have Destiny. There's some other ones, but those are the big ones. And like sci-fi properties, like they are beloved franchises, and clearly, Bungie wants to make more sci-fi. That's what they did with Destiny. And the thing about Destiny is that Destiny is a huge sci-fi brand now. They can do whatever they want with that. They can make movies, they can make TV, they can make anime, they can make spin-off games in different genres, because that's what Destiny is now.
Dude,
it's its own universe.
They built a universe for that, man.
Yeah, and like look at Halo. Halo evolved to multiple different genres, and people still ask for other genres. I see people asking for Halo horror games, which would be cool, but again, Destiny is one of the few big sci-fi IP, and we don't see a lot of huge sci-fi games now. This generation we've had Halo 5, we've had Mass Effect Andromeda, and we've had like Destiny games. We've had the occasional other game, but when it comes to these tentpole sci-fi franchises, we haven't had a lot. So like Bungie clearly wants to make Destiny, and when you hear the developers talk about it, they're passionate about Destiny. Yes. They want to make Destiny. So the last thing I'd want to do, even if they could make the best Halo game in existence in the future, they want to make Destiny. Let them make it.
Thank you. And you know what? Real quick on that note, and you can continue right afterwards. First off, shout out to Shizno Elite. I think he has been here since the first episode. Shout out to you and all the people who have been here from the beginning for this show. We definitely appreciate it. He said, last thing I want is a dev making a game they don't want to make. And shout out to Bounty Boom, hitting up that super chat one more time, brother. Thank you so much. He says, just showing my support. I have to go. Can't listen live. I'll listen to the rest later. Thanks again. No, Bounty, thank you, brother. Even for stopping in, saying what's up, bringing your thoughts and opinions, man. You are always welcomed here, bro. But yeah, Jamie, like I said, Shizno Elite said, you don't want devs making a game that they don't want to make.
Yeah, and like going back to like the whole franchises evolving over time, I talk about Mass Effect all the time. And, Mass Effect 1 is my favorite game of all time. So would you think that would that be my favorite game of all time? I would want the sequels to be exactly like 1. Nope. I'm happy that they're different games. Like each individual Mass Effect is different from each other. I'm not talking about Andromeda because that had its own issues, but it's like Mass Effect 2 and 3 are completely different from 1. And Mass Effect 3 is different from 2. And I like the fact that they change things over time. And like again, like the first Mass Effect, you couldn't go into cover properly anyway. You couldn't like jump over ledges or anything. They added those stuff into like, certain timed moments, but it's like they slightly evolved the game over time. And the thing is, the original Halo games did evolve. They added small things, but like I'm talking about like big changes. And the thing is, like, I'm cool with franchises changing over time. They should. Like, otherwise, why buy the same product over and over again? It just wouldn't make sense. Like, again, do you think that if the prequel Star Wars trilogy was exactly like those films, coming out in like 1999, people wouldn't be, that enthusiastic about them because, again, the first Star Wars film, A New Hope, not much happens. Not really. So it's like, I get it, man. I get it. Like, there will be people that, don't want Sprint and Halo. There'll be people that complain about that and make YouTube videos about it for the rest of their lives. But at the end of the day, franchises change and they should. Like, I want a game to be what the developer wants to make, not what I want it to be.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, like if it comes down to it, obviously there was interest there between Xbox and Bungie, but I don't think the interest is where people want it to be. I don't think it was the interest into putting Bungie back on Halo. If they acquire Bungie, that is awesome. When it comes to Game Pass, I think they would make that they would keep Destiny 2 multiplat. But, they would have the expansions in Game Pass. I still think, Jamie, like when it came to season passes, I still think those would have to be bought. They wouldn't be in Game Pass, but I could be wrong on that. But if they wanted to do something like that, if Xbox thought like there was a reason for that or whatnot, then more power to them. But if people are asking for this and calling this out, so this way Bungie takes over Halo, I don't think they know what they're asking for. There is a lot of different people at Bungie now. I would go out on a limb and say that there are more old school Bungie people at 343 than there are at the new Bungie now. And I don't think that they realize like what they're asking for is for these different developers to be put on a game that they don't necessarily want to make. And I think that's pretty much, the whole kind of like the talking point there. It's like I don't think these people realize exactly what they're asking for.
A lot of people don't know what they want at the end of the day. And again, like I wanted Mass Effect to evolve with each game, right? And people keep bringing up Andromeda whenever I mention this. Andromeda was developed over 18 months. It had a bunch of issues. A bunch of the developers, let's say, weren't very nice people. Like the many issues behind that game, which I won't even talk about. But it's like when it comes to Halo, like a lot of the original developers from Bungie are 343 making this game. So it's like I don't know why people want to force Bungie on Halo. It's like stop it.
Yeah.
Stop it.
Just cut it out there. Like if there's anybody in the chat who's like that, like I feel for you, yo. You want something from your past and you want something fresh, but within that whole thing. But the franchise has evolved. If you notice in Halo Infinite in the gameplay, there is still clamber, there is still running. I like the exploration. I like that they took the old school kind of like Halo Combat Evolved, like that feeling you got in that first Halo when you touch down on the ring and you're like, whoa, I can go here, I can go there. And now, granted, games have evolved further since the original Halo, but they have found a way to put that feeling back into the campaign from what I saw from the trailer. And I like that. That's a good way to bring back something from the original Halos, but then still make a new Halo and still push it forward. So I'm excited for Halo Infinite. I think 343 is going to do a good job. I know there was a bunch of like speculation and there was a bunch of people that didn't like what they saw with the trailer. the game has been delayed. I would say basically it's coming out holiday next year, and I think we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see something that will get us excited. What do you think, Jamie, when it comes to Halo Infinite? When they show it again, do you think we're gonna see something that's like, oh damn, we gotta play that?
Oh yeah, I mean, look, I've been saying since I saw it, like I thought the gameplay looked good. It's just like the visuals, like people expect and all. We should have seen the game with ray tracing. So I do think like we'll see the game with all the bells and whistles going on, ray tracing and whatnot. And like again, I don't think it's going to be a year out like people say. I think it's going to be a lot less. And I mean, like I'm looking forward to Halo, and as a Halo fan since Combat Evolved, like I'm happy with the gameplay. The gameplay I
Dude,
saw.
I think this might be the first Halo that me and you might actually go into multiplayer together, man. I'm just saying. I know there's a 5-hour difference between us, but if we could come together every Sunday, I think we could come together, at different parts throughout the week and get some of that multiplayer in, bro.
We'll make it work.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. And, guys, on that note, again, this show is supposed to be at most an hour and a half long. We did have technical difficulties, so we went a little bit longer tonight. Shout out to Optimum Online and my crappy internet. But hopefully it'll be a lot more stable next week. I'm glad that everything kind of stabled out and we were able to get this show in. I was a little nervous. I was like, man, I really wanted to do this show, and then the internet, started convulsing. Basically, is the best way I can describe what I was seeing on my computer screen. But it held together. Yo, shout out to the chat. You guys are absolutely incredible. It is good to see everybody here for a strictly Xbox show. That's all me and Jamie talk about. That's all that's in the chat. That's, we just talk about Xbox. We are Xbox gamers, playing Xbox games, talking about Xbox topics. Jamie, I think it was a great show, man. I think it's about time to get into those outros. And, I know you are a YouTuber. Hold on. real quick, shout out to, hold on, I got to get it to stop scrolling. There we go. Shout out to DJ Berto Doss, for hitting up that super chat. Thank you, brother. He says, 343 just needs to give us a great campaign for Infinite. I have no doubt multiplayer will be solid because Halo 5 was the best multiplayer in the franchise, in his opinion. And you know what? I like your opinion because I agree with that, man. Shout out to you, brother. Yeah, that's all they have to do. And again, from what I saw in terms of exploration, they are definitely on the right track. But Jamie, again, it's time to get into those outros, man. You got to let people know about what's going on with your YouTube. I know you said you've been sick throughout the week, so you didn't put out a lot of content. I don't know if you want to give people a tease of what type of content you're planning on dropping, when's it going down. But and of course, you got to let them know about social media. For the 3 people that are on Twitter that live under a rock and don't know Jamie Moran, you got to let them know, man.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's been a good show. The chat's been amazing. Actually, very amazing this week, but no one really acting up. And yeah, I've been sick for the past week, as I've said on Twitter, and I have videos coming out this week. Should be tomorrow and Friday. Next generation Xbox stuff, feature related stuff, Xbox features. And yeah, that should be coming out tomorrow. And that's The Elusive Gamer on YouTube. And yeah, my Twitter's Jamie Man UK, where I talk about gaming regularly and I post some jokes. And the thing is about Twitter is that some people take my sarcastic self too seriously. Like I joke about everything. Like it's only jokes, and like I can just make like very small teases about stuff. And the thing is, I do break some gaming news on Twitter, which whatever. But it's like yeah. Oh yeah, we're getting a new game announcement tomorrow, which I'll be tweeting about in a bit. But yeah.
Nice.
That's my stuff.
Nice, brother. And I got to give a shout out to one of the amazing moderators in the chat. I got to shout out Crispy Bomb because, when we started this show, again, there's no talk about any other platforms between me and Jamie and in the chat. And Crispy Bomb took up that responsibility with me and Jamie. And Crispy has been knocking it out of the park every Sunday, since our first show. And I got to give a shout out to you, man. Thank you so much for helping us out, Crispy. I appreciate all the help, man. He gets to certain things in the chat when people mention other platforms before I can. Jamie, I know he's done it before you can as well. He has been on top of it from the beginning. So shout out to Crispy Bomb and his removing of other platform names in the chat. And shout out to the chat in general. I love coming together, talking Xbox with Jamie and you guys in the chat. If you're new to the show, we are here every Sunday, 6 p.m. Eastern, and we go on for about an hour and a half or so, and we only talk Xbox. If that's what you want, and if you know gamers out there that want a show like that as well, share the link. Let them know that we are here every Sunday. But guys, that's pretty much it for now. You know where to find me, man. You're at my channel. If you don't follow me on Twitter, it's at xbot448. My gamer tag is also xbot448. I keep it simple. Wherever you want to find me, just type in xbot448 and I should pop up there. But guys, as usual, at the end of the show, we ask you guys to keep it gaming and keep it Xbox. Have a great night, everybody.